Hi friends, this is Angie. I'm just continuing to do clips from the Sean Maguire 2-hour interview on Out of the Bag Radio. Just into, because we covered a lot of subjects, so just into digestible chunks. The first is pouring with rain, absolutely lashing. The first clip was about COVID and civil unrest and like that. And the second was my testimony. And now we go on to talk of broader things. So let's see, I'll just share that and then I'll title it afterwards when I remember which part we're looking at. So here we go. Right, we'll start here.
It's amazing that, you know, I've had Brian Clare on the show quite a few times.
Yeah, I love Brian, he's great.
He's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
I can hear it that he doesn't remember fully what goes on, what went on. But he actually says that a lot of the stuff that he went through was in fact satanic. He remembers seeing the symbolism. Did you have the same?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that even the bit that I've shared will encourage people to come forward. I hate saying that, it sounds so, but I want people to dare to remember. It used to be that particularly men were too ashamed to say that they've been sodomized and raped in childhood. And that taboo has been broken, but there are still, you know, Melanie Shaw talked about some ritualistic aspects and a murder, at least one murder she witnessed. You know, I want people to, you know, and there's a lord in the House of Lords, even still, his son made a disclosure of satanic ritual abuse, but it's a subject that people have steered away from. And I think we're only as sick as our secrets. And even though they're not secrets we want to keep because we were drugged. I was at a protest once and there was loads of survivors. It was an anti-child abuse protest. And there was one man and he said, I got in trouble and I got taken into the headmaster's office or whatever, the head of the children's home's office. And he said, I thought I came out 3 hours later and I was bleeding from my rectum and I didn't remember what happened to me. But he said I had been gone for 5 days.
Wow.
He remembered being taken into the office in trouble and he remembered coming out in agony and he thought it was a few hours and it was 5 days. So, you know, those memories might never fully come back. But as I started to see, like, my niece and then my daughter tragically got also abused, even though I did everything I could to protect her, but there were just paedophiles everywhere in the network of my family. There were paedophiles everywhere, you know, everywhere. Even if I ran away and moved to America, there were paedophiles waiting. It was like somebody had my number and it was like a chess master knew exactly what part of the chessboard I was on. Yeah. And they would have handlers.
But they're trying to normalize paedophilia now as we speak, you know.
I know.
Just incredible.
I know. So anyway, so you know, even before I fully woke up, but I always just had a compassion for the wounded and the broken, you know. So and survivors will tell each other things that they wouldn't tell a non-survivor.
Yeah.
You know, that if they recognize a fellow sufferer that's not going to be disgusted at the details or, you know, can hear their horror.
It's belief, isn't it? It's whether it's to be believed. And if somebody comes out with their truth and other people are saying that didn't happen, that couldn't have happened, no way would that happen, you know, then obviously they're going to need other, I suppose, victims to share their stories with.
Yeah, well, I was re-traumatized by my niece's court case in 2010 or whenever it was that the family turned against her. I was totally re-traumatized by that. And then I engaged in counselling and started to do some research. And then I was kind of sparked into some research and some discovery by meeting Kathy Morgan and by stumbling on the bases. And Miles Johnston flew over and interviewed me for 9 hours or something, 9.5 hours.
Yeah, good man, not Miles.
Yeah, and then a lot of people contact me, and just this is the thing, by speaking out, it's not just because it's a good thing to speak out. You actually start joining the dots, because then other survivors contact you, other people that were in the military at the same time, other people that were in the school you were in, other people that were traumatized in the hospitals you were in. But that's where the power comes from, is the networking that go, just as the elites or whatever, these mad scientists, the eugenicists, the Illuminati, the military,
but they have their network.
They network, yes. But they bank on it that we won't.
Yeah.
And this is where the power is. This is why I would do an interview with you, whereas it's uncomfortable to get this vulnerable and to be fearful of the trolling afterwards and the backlash and all of that. But it's worth it, because...
Well, somebody after your last interview, Angela, said, you had that mad lady on. And I said, mad? She's too, right? She should be fucking livid.
Yeah.
You know, because, sorry, I cut across you, but seriously.
Yeah, no, I know, and I know you've got... the trolling is so bad. The other thing that spurred me into action, really, was the disclosures of the Hampstead children in February 2015.
Are we going to go there with this?
Briefly, unless you don't want to.
No, I think it should be highlighted and shouted from the rooftops, Angela.
Oh, good.
I think it's been hidden and pushed under the carpet, and it should never have been.
So those children had about 34 video clips of disclosing of not just child sexual abuse, but satanic rituals, and having been forced to kill babies and drink blood and cannibalize and be part of rituals and be pimped into, sold and be abused by a paedophile ring and for obvious, it traumatized people worldwide. Hundreds of millions viewed the disclosures. But for survivors like myself, I couldn't hardly talk or walk for a week after that.
I watched all of them.
Yeah, so I just thought, you know what, my life might be over. I might never get justice. I might not even ever get the full truth, but I can do something for these children and children like them, So I became part of a campaigning team of about 30, and I would do the broadcasting. Like, there were fantastic researchers and professionals and analysts and experts, and I would be the mouthpiece. I would interview people and I would speak. And
yes, I remember, it was really good.
Yeah, and but the trolling that's still going on because of that. The father, that was covered up in a 12-day fact-finding mission where it wasn't criminally investigated. No arrests were made. No computers or devices were seized. No crime scenes were investigated. No other children were interviewed. It was the biggest cover-up of the century, I believe.
Yeah.
But
they didn't even look for the tattoos, did they?
No, they didn't, and that's a huge thing, because I've had other survivors describe tattoos of these Satanists in detail, and the children drew tattoos and piercings of their abusers, and that would have been a very straightforward way to establish the children's credibility.
And if you're innocent and it was all concocted and made up like the mainstream media says it was, Wikipedia says it was, you'd drop your pants, wouldn't you, to show them?
Yeah, of course you would. In a controlled situation with a medical doctor, of course you would. They forced Michael Jackson to drop his pants because he'd been described. So
exactly,
why not the multiple abusers and the multiple drawings these children have done and described, and the fact that the two children at 8 and 9 corroborated each other's testimonies separately, that gives you a criminal basis because there's more than one witness. Because most child abuse, you're on a losing wicket. That's why they only successfully prosecute a minuscule percentage, because it's usually the child's word against the adults. But in this situation, it was two siblings. So you had reached the legal threshold where their testimonies separately and together corroborated each other's to the detail, to the nth degree.
Absolutely. You know? And these were children that were telling, as they put it, tales, but they were telling their story in such a graphic way that there is no way a child could make that up.
You couldn't make, and I knew that from, even with my memories still being fractured and partially submerged, artificially and medically submerged, but I knew that truth from the bottom of my soul of what they were talking about. But the father, the campaigners, when they shut the case down, they started going after all the campaigners in the UK, and they started putting them in jail or putting them in mental hospitals.
Yeah, I had Sabine McNichols on my show.
Neil,
Neil, sorry,
yeah, she's been in prison nearly 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and they got other sections. They jailed Alan Allenson for 9 months. They jailed Rupert for 9 months. He got out after 4.5. They cautioned others. They put gagging orders, the same as they did with Robert Greene on the Holly Gregg case. They put lifetime gagging orders and all that kind of thing. And then finally, Dearman flew to Ireland. When the children were located, he put them back on the internet in about 2018, 17 or 18. He put them on the internet in an eBay video. And I wrote a blog about it, but I didn't say who they were. I just knew that my followers that had followed my work from 2015 would recognize the father and children immediately. But he flew over to Ireland and went to the police and said I was harassing him online, and he started putting it out online that he was going to take me down and I'd go to jail as well. And so I think I mentioned on the last show in 2018, I got raided by 5 detectives and they took my computer, my laptops and my phone.
Yeah, did you ever get those back?
No, it's a year and 10 months since they were here.
Oh, I hope you're billing them for every day they have them.
Well, I've only just started taking legal action in the last couple of months. That's why I had to get the post before I posted it.
Right, okay.
Because I'm in a legal process now with somebody called Baron David Ward in the UK.
Oh yeah, great guy.
Yeah, he's mentoring me and he's helping me and he's teaching me and so I when they raided me, I did a live stream. When they left, I did a Facebook Live and it had about 23,000 views. It went out there, and then they sent a file to the DPP in January 2019, and I still haven't heard back from the DPP. A year and 5 months later, the DPP still haven't made a decision.
Wow.
So I decided to be proactive because it's been torment and torture, and I've been stalked and had my reputation ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
Anybody that engages with me online or even in real life, they contact them and they show them out of context clips of, videos or whatever. I've been online making videos for years and years, so they might find something where I admit to that I gave my son a spanking and I lost my temper with him over something, and then they'll say she's a self-confessed child abuser.
Yes, of course.
Or they found out I used to do charitable work. I was involved with the Parents Association, Residents Association, raising money for an orphanage. It was just the way I was raised. It's an Irish thing to get involved with helping charity.
Yeah.
But then they found a check. I raised funds for Jim Will Fix It, not knowing he was the dirty old pedo he was.
Yeah.
And they found the presentation check where my sister and I were giving the check for thousands to Stoke Mandeville Hospital. But then they just would put the picture of Jimmy Savile and me all over the place saying I was a known you know.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they?
They would contact people. They literally will contact people and say, if you help her again, you will be targeted. We will destroy your business. We will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I get death threats. You know, check your back garden. I'm only an hour away from you. The police won't touch me. They won't do anything. So finally, I just put out an appeal when the detective sergeant said to me, "Oh, I know what made me finally go legal was that they went and got court orders to go to Google and get access to my data, like my YouTube channels." And I had offered them, I didn't put stuff to private, and I offered them to come and see all my evidence, and I gave them free access to all my work, you know. But they went and got court orders to go to Google and seize my information, including my subscribers' details.
Wow.
So that's when I put an appeal out for somebody to help me legally, and so now I'm being proactive. It's like I want my tech back. I want a copy of the warrant that was used to raid my house. The 2 court orders given to Google were unsigned, unlawful, no crest, no seal. One had no signature at all. The other had a signature but no name.
And we know what they do. They're as corrupt as fuck. I mean, GARDA Corner, I think, took some, when they were trying to stitch Joe Ducey up, and bless him, he went away for 3 years after being stitched up. But
yeah.
He's free now. But they took his equipment away, his laptop, whatever, and then went public and said that he had child porn on it and stuff.
Oh,
you know?
my God.
You know, how dare they do that?
I know survivors that have had that done to them in England as well, you know, but I don't know if it's still part of my programming or whether it's my faith or my naivete, but I still believe in the few good people, you know. I haven't got to that stage of rage saying everybody in authority is corrupt and dirty and rotten and disgusting and blackmailed and compromised. Now, I'm willing to be wrong, but I still, it's hard for me to even seek justice and even find my anger and say, give me back my stuff. How dare you traumatize me when you should have been asking me what could be done to expose corruption instead of coming and
being corrupt,
brutalizing the whistleblowers. You know, I just, when it's one trauma after another, and you're getting stalked and harassed and trolled, you reach a tipping point where you almost just roll over, you know. So I'm finding the working with Baron David Ward hugely helpful, but I'm not ready to go full out anarchist. I'm not ready to say they're all crooked. They're all dead.
Well, I'll put it in a nutshell for you. That's well put, and it's great that you still have faith in human nature.
Only a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm you know, if you join any organization and you realize once you join that there is filth going on, that there is corruption going on, that there is backstabbing, double dealing and setting people up going on, you're not going to want to be in that gang. Okay, and GARDA Síochána aren't GARDA Síochána anymore because they're not under their oath anymore. They're GARDA. That's what they are. They're police force. They might as well be
private corporation.
Exactly. Yeah. On Dun and Bradstreet. Yeah, they're definitely. Yeah. But not only that, is that they are now. Okay, I'm not going to name names, but a guy I know wanted to join the Guards. He went in and he did the exam that they do at Temple Moor.
Yeah.
And he failed. And he was very, very gutted and upset. But he got a message a little while later from one of the guards who saw that he failed.
Yeah.
And he said, if you do this, and this in the exam, you'll pass.
Oh.
So he went back and he took the exam, and in his own words, he said, I've lied through my teeth.
Oh,
and now
so how can you have a successful career if that's built on a crooked cornerstone?
Exactly. And that's what the young guards are getting.
Yeah. I remember a guard took to coaching the soccer team when my boys were still playing soccer. And it was when the GARDA morale was really down and low about, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. And he said, I tell my children, don't you dare follow in my footsteps. I can't wait to get the early retirement. Don't you dare ever be a guard. You know? That's heartbreaking. But then I know another lad that was at school with my son. His dream was always to be a guard. And he passed all the exams, but he couldn't pass the fitness. And he had to lose about 2.5 stone to get up. And so he took a year, or maybe a year and a half, but he absolutely, because he so passionately wanted to be a guard, he absolutely went, you know, and lost the weight and finally got in and graduated, you know. But it's funny the story you tell, because in the interim, he crashed into another young lad's car, and he was at fault. But the other young lad got stitched up in the insurance claim because he wouldn't admit liability because it would have affected his application to the guards.
Wow.
He was worried about anything on it. It got fixed.
Yeah.
It got fixed so that he didn't have to admit liability.
So there you go. If they're going to fix on that level, Angie.
Yeah, they're fixing right from the get-go. It's not a great omen, but I don't know. I can't think of a society unless we go back to living in small communities, because you can see the hypocrisy, right? Where there's people. If I see police brutality, it devastates me. But at the same time, when I watch these riots and people are trying to kill the police, I think of them as human beings, and I think what job is worth them standing there about to be murdered, you know, about to be killed?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I can only go by personal experience, and during the poll tax demos and the miners' strike demos in England, I was quite heavily on the front line.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, but the people that caused the aggro, the people that took it away from being a peaceful demonstration and a show of strength of the people, when we found out who they were all police.
Yeah,
they were all police dressed in their fucking civvies, throwing bottles of Molotovs and the whole lot.
This is why I say we've been mass mind controlled. They've infiltrated everything. You know, we've been mass mind controlled.
I would absolutely love, Angela, if good people did join on Garda Síochána, did join the police.
Yeah, I would too.
And changed it from within and made sure that it wasn't corrupt and didn't accept the bullshit.
Yeah, I think the minute you sell your soul, even if it's on an entrance exam. But having said that, right, because I can't get too judgmental, right? My sister Fiona, that I believe was murdered, and I was telling you, there was a nice coroner that totally believed me, and she said to me, I've saved the DNA, so your mum and her DNA can still be tested for a match or a no match.
Right.
But she was booted, and the boss of the coroner's office took over the job.
Yeah.
She was taken off the job.
Well, that's it. I mean, any good guards out there probably end up not going where they want to go and end up at a desk somewhere.
Well, when I went to the guards about corruption in the past, they said to me that at least one of the assistant commissioners was part of the cabal, you know, satanic ritual abuse, the whole 9 yards, paedophile rings, blackmail, everything. And there was one cabinet member, they said, was involved. At least 2 of the 5 assistant Garda commissioners at that time were involved, and a lot of the senior brass. So they said, even if 100 of us good guards get together and try and get a case, as it works its way up the ladder, it gets squashed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had Professor George Lees on my show last week.
Yeah, I must listen to that.
Yeah, and he actually said that... how did he put it? Now I'm paraphrasing, okay, because I can't remember exactly what he said. But he said that the Rothschild banking cartels run the Freemasons, and the Freemasons own the police forces.
Yeah, well, I see that in England, and I'm afraid I have to kind of I do see the footprints over here too. I interviewed a girl, the niece of a politician, I think he's still serving, and she disclosed to me extensively about satanic ritual abuse going on in her home and, you know, with her parents and her uncle and his wife, this serving politician, being a full politician, and extended, you know, the priest and, you know, also a paedophile ring in Limerick.
Okay.
And she had tried to get, she went and reported to Limerick Garda, and they wouldn't even give her a pulse number. She was almost 2 years trying to even get a pulse number.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't. She was dealing with a band Garda, and she says, I'm your pulse number, I'm your liaison. You just come to me, you don't need a report number. And so she reached out to me, and I managed to get her some pressure put on the police in Limerick Garda, and they gave her a pulse number and sent the file to the DPP, but they didn't even interview her family or investigate her claims. And she had a phenomenal, she's got a PhD, she's a highly educated woman. She had phenomenal lucidity and memories and, you know, absolutely enough, a bit like the Hampstead children, absolutely enough to do a really deep year or two's investigation. Well, they sent a file to the DPP, and she got an answer in 2 months saying no, insufficient evidence, not going any further.
Yeah, well, that's the DPP for you.
She's devastated. Yeah. She's devastated, you know.
And then they've got the, you know, the Garda ombudsman to report on the cards.
I've seen corruption where somebody's reported the Garda ombudsman, and the ombudsman, GSOC, has just returned the whole file back to the station they were reporting, and that person had to leave the country. He was death threatened because
it's great.
GSOC let it be known that he had sent them a whole dossier of evidence.
So we've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but
okay, so I'm trying to make these digestible bits. So I made notes of briefly what we covered there. I may talk more about the Hampstead case. I'm not sure. It's always close to my heart. But so I've written notes that survivors, what is the benefit to us of speaking out? Satanic ritual abuse, the Hampstead case, tattoos, the legal threshold for it should have been a criminal investigation, not a secret family court one. Baron David Ward and his help, the DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, and Ricky Dearman, stalking, police corruption, corrupt coroners, and Freemasons, and satanic ritual abuse in Ireland. So that's quite a chunk there. Please disseminate this. I'm not, I haven't told my story on huge platforms other than Miles Johnson, with whom I later fell out a little bit, quite a lot. And it's not for the glory or wanting to be famous. It's literally to join the dots and to stop this happening. Any genuine survivors they will not be looking for a book deal and fame and glory. They will be looking to make sense of their fractured pasts, to stop it happening to other children, and to network with other survivors. So please get this out widely. Even any of the big platforms, please pick this up and share it. And great thanks to people like Kathy Fox blog and Barbara O'Hare, a fellow survivor. I appreciate everybody that shares my work. And it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act. We have to live in the present. We have to somewhat plan a future, and then also put the jigsaw puzzle together. And I want to just leave a legacy that I spoke before I died, and I don't plan on dying anytime soon. I am 63. I do believe the life I've been subjected to has left a lot of scars, a lot of infirmities and health issues, mysterious health issues. But my father's 95. He was born in he's born in 26. So 94, my mother's 86, you know, so I might have a lot of time left, but I want to leave a legacy, and I really want to write a book, not for fame and glory or profit, which there isn't much in these days with book writing, but I want to document the truth. What is it they used to say? If we don't learn to understand history, we are destined to repeat it. So God bless. Angela Power Disney, Facebook and YouTube. I've also got backup channels, Angie Power Disney, and on Twitter I'm Angie Power Disney. And my blog, you know, somebody asked me what was my background, what was my field of research, and I just said go to my blog, you know, and navigate around it a bit, like notes and archives, and, you know, spend some time there. AngelusCaches.org. No apostrophe, and Caches is spelled C-A-C-H-E-S. I know it should be pronounced cash, but it was a nod to the book Angela's Ashes. I've got loads more to say and do, so please God keep me productive, because I do feel an urgency about the times we're living in. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and when I can't, I can't. God bless.